Hello and welcome. We are so excited to welcome you to Living Cities Earth experience. Please enjoy the next few minutes, and we hope that this video and the ideas from our speakers will change your life to the better. Listen carefully. What particularly talks to you? What might have a chance to change your life and lives of people around you? Also, life of your place and our planet. We believe that you, the leaders of positive change, are those who define the future. So let's work together. And thank you for coming. So Marilyn is the person beyond operating systems for cities, for humans, for communities. Marilyn, welcome. Welcome from Scotland. I guess you are over there in Findhorn. And I pass it on to you for our islands of calm meditation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lev. It's just really an honor to be with you today, and welcome everyone who's joining us live and also later in the recording. I want to give you a little background to this meditation. It's a meditation that's in support of cities and towns and villages. And today we're celebrating Earth Day. I was inspired with this meditation through David Spangler, who has influenced the education of spirituality here in Findhorn Eco-Village and spiritual community here in Scotland. And when we were having very turbulent times through the last number of years, David proposed that if we could find an island of calm in ourselves, then we would have the opportunity to influence up to 1,000 other people. And I thought that was a wonderful proposition. And being, amongst other things, an accountant, I thought I would take this sacred practice and share it with others. Normally, I share it every Saturday morning here at the Findhorn Eco-Village, and we think about how our week has been turbulent and how an island of calm could help. But this week, during Earth Day, what I'd like you to think about once we start the meditation is, what or how or where are you aware of the ways that we are humaning well, or maybe not humaning so well? Where in our human habitats are you located around the world? And notice especially the human habitats, the cities, the towns, and the villages that you particularly care for or are connected with. I was moved this week working with the co-founders of Living Cities Earth. Together, we've been creating a celebration of living cities and the awareness of what we must do to restore a happy planet. So I am inspired to offer this meditation to create a sacred gateway into our time together for this Earth Day weekend. So I thank the team for inviting me and for you being present to join me today, or later when you listen on our recording. I want to start with a quotation from Eileen Caddy. Eileen Caddy was one of the co-founders of the Findhorn Spiritual Community and Findhorn Foundation. Here's what Eileen said. She said, "Never sit back and feel there is little or nothing you can do to help the world's situation. There is a tremendous amount you can do to help the work you do on the inner in radiating love and light out to individuals, to countries, to nations, and to the whole world. Day by day, you do this, and because you do not see any outer results, you wonder if the work is really any good and if it does help. Let me assure you," Eileen says, "that this work, which is being done on the inner, is simply tremendous. It is holding the whole world in balance. So never cease, never let up in any way, but carry on faithfully. See the whole network of light all over the world doing this inner work. See every tiny spark of light gathering together, bringing more and more light into the whole world situation. If each individual does its part and does it in faith, without always wanting to see immediate results, so does the light grow brighter and brighter. So shine forth, my little lights, until the darkness has been transformed and all is light." So I'm going to start our meditation with a chime. And I would like to let you know that towards the end of the meditation, I call us into silence. And so we will sit in sacred silence for probably about 5 minutes. And I will call you out of that silence and then complete the meditation. So get comfortable where you are. Get comfortable in your chair. Feel your feet planted on the earth. Sense above you the sky. Notice our source above you. Take a deep breath and feel the connection of the center of the universe right down through your spine, connecting you to the center of the earth. Close your eyes or soften your gaze and just breathe calmly and naturally. And let's start by bringing our awareness and presence wherever you are, in whatever human habitat where you live, be it a village, a town, or a city of any size, from micro-settlement to megacity. Be aware of yourself and the place that holds you. Be aware of all of us and all our places around the world. Let us include those who want to be with us, but for whatever reason, whether that be conflict, climate, COVID, or other challenges, or celebrations of Earth Day or spiritual ritual, for whatever reason, these people might be remote from this session today. But let us just embrace them in the island of calm that we are creating to benefit all living cities on a happy planet. Let's embrace the 4 archetypal voices of our cities: the citizens, the civic managers, business and innovators, the third sector, or civil society. Let us acknowledge all the cities, towns, and villages we know of personally or hear on the news. Let's acknowledge and bless all those who are caring and acting for Gaia's well-being in these places, ecoregions, nations, and their connections to neighbors, cultures, and geographies. Now feel and experience in and around you the light and love of your unique beingness, the light of your individual sacredness, however you envision and experience that. Let that light arise and hold each of us in its grace and loving embrace. And sense that light, feeling all aspects of yourself, your cells, the energies that flow through them, your feelings, mind, subtle body, soul, and spirit. Your whole presence, from the most particular part of yourself to the most expanded. Rest in the light and love and grace of this presence of yourself, and in the light and love and grace of the sacred that lies at the heart of all things. Feel and experience yourself also embedded in the life and being of the earth and her human habitats, even those that seem physically far away. Let us sense how we are connected with them because we are a generative part of the biosphere, a generative part of the noosphere, a generative part of the subtle dimensions, a generative part of the spiritual dimensions. a generative part of a vast planetary exchange of life and love and light. And now begin to focus on the qualities and energies you would like to bring to this work of subtle activism for our cities and towns and villages today. Maybe a presence of peace, of unity, of love. Maybe aliveness, happiness, joy. Maybe service, belonging, or regeneration. Maybe caring for others, place, and planet. Maybe healing, wholeness, and community. Perhaps compassion, grace, forgiveness. Maybe even a combination of qualities. Maybe a sense, perhaps, that all is well, that all is evolving, even though we may not see how, for Gaia's well-being. Whatever qualities or energies are calling you, step into them now, as much as you are able. And bring the felt sense of them into your heart and mind and body. And let yourself become a living presence of these qualities. Now imagine the felt sense of these expanding outwards to form a sphere of energy around you, around us, around our human habitats. This is an alliance space, a collaborative space. Into this space, invite allies in today's work of subtle activism, beings who are working with different elements of Earth's human habitats. I'm going to name some of these beings angels. You may have another name for them. They are all welcome by whatever name. I'm going to start by calling in our ancestors. I call in the landscape angels, Gaia's local representatives, the angels of our human habitats and bioregions, the angels of our associations, agreements, governments, the angels of our cultures, communities, outreaches, and our families, the angels of our seasons and cycles, beings from the four directions, beings of nature, earth, air, fire, water, the she. In particular, open to the presence of the soul of Gaia's human habitats, the soul of humanity, and the soul of the world. Those presences that hold an unfolding promise and potential of what we and the world can be. Sense these allies with you, with us, with all beings in our life places. Let our energies blend in a collaborative field and sense that field deepening and broadening as we do this. from this space of silence, let us be aware of our cities and towns and villages, bioregions and nations, sensing the energy and presence of this field that we have created. Hold and bless what is happening and unfolding. In your heart and in your imagination, touch or hold whatever situations or people or groupings have called your attention. Just hold the presence and energy of this collaborative field clearly and steadily in yourself, allowing it to be a resource and blessing wherever it is needed for living cities and a happy planet. Now, as we honor both the silence of connecting together, let us also become aware of how we reconnect through this meditation and all the other communications that we will share throughout the Earth Day Summit to follow. And now begin to bring this work to a close. Give thanks and appreciation to all involved. Then bless and release all who have helped and been part of this field, supporting our cities and towns and villages. Then consciously step out of the alliance space and return your attention to your own energy field and presence. Bring your awareness back to your body, to the light that fills it, that supports your boundaries and your unique presence and identity. Experience yourself grounded and balanced, and when you are ready, open your eyes and return your awareness to your room. Thank you. Thank you, and I'll return to Lev if you would like to make a bridge between the meditation and where we go next in the summit.
Thank you very much. Maren, let me ask you a couple of questions before we complete this particular session. And I wonder what other colleagues maybe they want to share. But I've been practicing different types of meditation for last 20 maybe years. And what I find about what you have shared with us, it both connects our internal state with the external awareness, not only in my physical space, which often is the case, but really on a global scale. In your experience, how does it really affect? Because you mentioned a very important point in the beginning, that by being calm inside, we can positively affect thousands of people in our surroundings or maybe globally. And I was wondering, and it's a question really both to you and whoever else wants to share their experiences, between the idea of affecting other people through our state of mind, state of energy, and the reality, how do we go through this path, right? So how do we become people who by inner work really make a difference in the world in a very tangible way? If you have any ideas.
Well, Well, thank you, Lev. One of the reasons that I really get a great deal of joy to be in service when I do this meditation is because I can actually see and sense the local impact that it has. I live in the eco village, so I know almost all of my neighbors and the other people who live here. So we have a small group who turns up regularly on Saturday morning, and everybody has a different sense of where there's turbulence in their lives, whether personally or with some of the organizations in the eco village. When we first started this, it was as a response to the pandemic. So we had to create an action committee when we first were put into lockdown. And being an eco village and a spiritual community, we wanted to find a way that was particularly aligned with the kind of values and relationships that we have with one another and with nature and with the world. And so when we asked ourselves about all of the practical things that we were guided to do by the government or by the health authority, we looked to our own practices here and asked, what is it that we can do in our spiritual lives to really assist us? And you'll notice that in the meditation, we introduced this idea of allies. And so these are non-human beings. And there is, of course, perhaps because we are in Scotland and also because living in a spiritual community, this is not an unusual thing to reach out and ask for nature to guide us. So I think that that's something on a very local basis that we found helped us get through not only the impact of the COVID pandemic that the rest of the world was going through, but we had other very difficult situations that occurred in the same period during that lockdown. We had fires here and lost both our sanctuary and our community center. So we had a lot of turbulence, and we still experience that as the impacts of that roll through. So what it does is it gives us an opportunity locally to notice, because we can hold this space and find the calm in ourselves, we do know that it has an impact throughout the rest of the week with everyone here. When I finish leading the meditations here, I usually ask people to share whatever came up for them. And of course, we're not normally celebrating Earth Day, but we're being in service to life here in Findhorn, but I also extend it to the rest of the world. And so people will naturally bring in their connections with the rest of the world. We're actually quite an international community. And it won't be unusual for people to say, for instance, well, I took my service or meditation today to Kiev, and I was in the Ukraine, and I was actually holding the conditions for people there. Or somebody else to say, well, my daughter in Australia is going through an illness, and I could feel that the meditation gave me a connection to them. And then later we can find out, and not unusually, that in fact it did impact that person non-locally across the world. So those are two of the answers about both locally and non-locally. And I think it's not just in a small eco village like Findhorn, but when I go to cities, which is normally where I've lived before I've moved here, I also take this sense of calm that I can kind of just tap into. People who come on a regular basis say they remember this sense of calm in the meditation when they might be in the subway, or they might be trying to get to the airport on time, or, cooking meals for the family, that sort of thing. And so I feel that it has really got the impact that Eileen referred to when I shared that quote at the beginning. So I hope that that helps answer your question now.
It absolutely does. I would love to add something, but maybe Eric or Christoph or Alexandra or other colleagues, if you want to share any of your ideas or insights, and otherwise I'll join right after I have a couple of stories to share on this point.
Well, yeah, as I was listening to the both of you, I came to the realization that, and I think you're a vessel for this, Marilyn, and I think we all potentially are vessels but when I'm around Marilyn, and I don't know you that well, but when I'm around you, there's a ripple effect. I'm going to be honest, I'm not much of a meditator. It's, I'm not knocking meditation. I'm not knocking me. It's just not something that comes that easily to me. But when I'm around you, I feel the ripple effect of you. And I think all of us are leaders, and we're constantly creating ripple effects, whether we're conscious or not. And so I think, it's a reminder for me that I can be that ripple that I want to be, and that I need to keep identifying what's the ripple I want to create in this world. What's the ripple that I want to create for this planet?
Bravo, Eric. If Alexandra or Christoph want to add anything, you are most welcome. And thank you for joining our Islands of Calm meditation, which Marilyn was leading from beautiful Scotland. And while other colleagues are joining in, let me share a couple of stories which really came to my mind in response to what Marilyn, you have shared, and what Eric was just sharing. When we were working on a particular city case in Izhevsk about 10 years ago, and I was at the moment, representative of some business organizations and non-for-profit community. And Mary knows the story, but we got engaged with the local administration, with the city mayor, etc. And when we looked into, and I've never worked with local administrations before, I thought they live there on their own sort of terms. They live managing the city, doing some important things, and we are living our own lives, and there is no connection between us as citizens and the city administration. I mean, in a real, not in terms of some artificial things, but in the real sense. Everybody has his own sphere of attention. And when we got to know them a little bit, we discovered it was a very young team, people in their late 30s, who came to manage the city, and they had some beautiful ideas about ecology and citizen engagement, etc. And but what we discovered is that there was a serious mistrust, lack of connection between city administrators, the society, sort of the citizens, the business. So what Marilyn calls the four voices were very much apart from each other, no connection. And talking about our meditation today, one of the reasons those guys from administration were able to talk to me in particular, as well as my colleagues, is that because it's about our state of mind and state of energy. We would always come in a very non-threatening, in a very calm, very relaxed way to really first understand what are they about, what is their situation, what are their circumstances, to sort of have this empathy, not just to critique them if they're not doing the right job. And we discovered that bringing this calmness and openness and really empathy into all of the business and sort of local administrative conversations and dealings was very, very important. And later we took it on a sort of spread to other dealings with different kinds of administrations in different countries. And that was our experience, that if we are calm inside, as Marilyn mentioned in the beginning, it creates a completely different level of trust with people, for example, in the city setting with business, government, citizens, etc. And this affects indeed thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of people. So maybe my experience is not that I'm calm and 1,000 people in my neighborhood become calmer. This I haven't noticed yet. Maybe I'm just in the beginning. But through our actual interaction throughout the day, if we're in the right state of mind, it really changed many, many things on an important scale. That was sort of my first story, and I have another one to tell, but let me check if Alexandra or Christoph want to share any of theirs. And count to three. 1, 2, 3. Yes, Christoph said that he is enjoying and learning well. getting relaxed after finishing his work. So let me second a very different story. I have a newborn daughter, as Marilyn and Derek know, and she's maybe 2 weeks old now, and she's a very good child. So we were very happy sort of to have her. She came in a very natural way, and one evening I was trying to take care of her. She was not crying, but being anxious a little bit, and my wife didn't know what to do, so we were sort of lost. And then I had a conversation via Zoom with Ranjani, who is one of the co-founders of Living Cities Earth, who lives in Bangalore in India. And Ranjani has such a sort of calm and beautiful presence about her that I was speaking with her about our Living Cities Earth business, some projects, plans, etc. But the way she was present in this Zoom conversation, it had an incredible effect on my little sort of daughter. Instead of crying and being anxious, she doesn't focus yet her, vision, the sight, but she was sort of paying her attention towards the screen somehow. And the way she calmed down, and she actually fell asleep. So my wife and myself, we thought, okay, this is another benefit from joining the Living Cities Earth community. We have a global, Marilyn, how would you call them? It's not caregivers, it's
stewards, but also I would call them caregivers, yes.
But also, if you need somebody to take care of your child, what's the right name for this?
Well, in colloquial terms, we might say a babysitter, but I think we're talking about
so we have a global community
the whole earth, yes.
And what's funny, it's both for our babies, whatever, our children, our grandchildren, but also for our inner child, right? So sometimes we need other people to pay attention and to give this empathetic sort of support, and this is what happens at Living Cities Earth. So maybe, sorry for my long stories. Thank you very much for this beautiful meditation. And we'll have 15 minutes before our next section start. So
I have to intrude for a second.
Oh yes, please.
I'm sorry, but this is amazing. We're talking about ripple effect, right? And over the last 5 minutes, a friend of mine has been texting me saying, and she's live streaming right this second, and she's saying, I know this woman. I went to, is it called the village that you live in? She went there, she saw you, she was impacted by you in the eco village. She's watching right this second. She's saying this is mind-blowing, so it's just another great example of the ripple effect that can get created.
In Findhorn, we would call it a synchronicity. Yes, just breaking through the veil of separation into realizing that we're all connected. And
and she worked in the garden, and she, did the cooking there, and very cool.
Well, give her my best and say, I hope she comes back and reconnects here. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, she's actually one of the people that's going to be doing the Spanish speaking workshop for LCE. So yeah, hopefully, you'll get to see her and meet her again.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story. And thank you, Lev, for your stories too, because there isn't only one way that we can be something that creates a ripple effect. And oftentimes we never know. So I really value that the island of calm can be of immediate benefit to us as individuals, but in being of service to a greater good in the world, simply using this as a practice, it can really generate something that creates an effect that will be with you probably for the next hour or days, or hopefully for the whole weekend, as this is our gateway into the whole summit. And this is a beautiful way for, the way that David Spangler framed this kind of subtle activism is a way of us understanding and experiencing ourselves as incarnated spirituality, so that we are both inner and outer, and that when we have the opportunity to call on allies, we're strengthened and supported, not only immediately here, but at distance and in ways that we are not even aware of. There are many people who come to Findhorn, and your friend Eric might be one of them, who can connect with nature beings, actually see them, and become aware of the extent to which they really want humans to have a sense of well-being and to be in harmony with Earth and all beings seen and unseen. So I'm very, very grateful to have this opportunity to be with you today. And for the rest of the Earth Day Summit, happy Earth Day. May it be calm and full of light.
Wow, you have made it. You just watched amazing insights from experts of Living Cities Earth ecosystem. We welcome you to the Living Cities Earth experience and hope that we are going for a long ride as we take care of ourselves, our communities, our cities, and our planet. Thank you and welcome.